Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. So this video today is going to be on the strawman. I am exposing the strawman account. I'm going to show you how the strawman account is created today. And for all those who are saying, well, no, you can't do that. It doesn't exist. Well, I have actually found proof through the CFR 3136.3. And that creates how the money was deposited into the account in your name due to the 1933 and the governors creating a pledge in your name. If you look at the local Congress and you look at the Congress in I believe it's 8046 Congress on June 1948. That's June 25th, 1948. You'll find that there's a definition. And if you go through, I believe it should say chapter 9, it talks about the vessels, and it talks about what is a security of the United States. And in this, it includes a birth certificate. Because the birth certificate is considered a pledge. It was pledged over when the United States, but which United States now, created a debt in the name of the country, which couldn't be paid. And so this created that said bond. Now, CFR 363.3 actually shows the creation of it. There's I believe it's 26, IRS code 26161 talks about dependents. What is a dependent? So under the actual law, we're considered minors in the eyes of the law still. We're actually considered a minor in the eyes of the law. And that's actually can be found under the Internal Revenue Manual Code 21.13.7.3.2.2.2. And you can find that you're still, even though you have reached the age of majority, which is an adult, you are still considered a minor in the eyes of the law. And that you have no rights, you are a slave, until you become a secured party creditor. Yes, there is a straw man, and you can gain access to that straw man. There was a guy named Randall Bean who gained access. Obviously, if he gained access and got arrested for it, obviously it's an accessible account. Now, there was another lady who accessed it with him. I don't recall her name, but both of these cases are very, very relevant towards the straw man. I'll post both of those cases at the bottom here. And you have to remember that people will try to discredit anything first if they didn't think of it themselves. Obviously, all the people and this hater on my post here saying that that's not true or factual. Well, I just posted it and he hasn't shown me anything or anything that actually can show proof. And this was on my original video for the Sovereign Man. And I posted a whole bunch of stuff and he just completely ignores it. Now, some people are just blind in ignorance to the facts, and they will always remain blind in ignorance to the facts. But those who have seen this and understand it, please understand that there's a lot more to it than just this. There's a lot more to it, because what's happening is the debt that is owed is inclined to everybody, and they have agencies which tend to monitor and watch sites like this, to ensure people aren't. This is why you have to ensure us that we're not putting certain things up and showing certain information, because they don't want that information exposed. You have to also remember that we're living in an age and era where most people only believe technology. So if they don't see it on the news, then it's not fact. That's not true. Fact and false information and misguided information. See, we live in an era where if you have some information and it's not accurate or exactly how a person wants it to be in their head, that's considered false information. Well, what do if you look at media, and you look closely at media, and you look very, very closely at the mainstream, well, what is it they do? They post and say only what they want, the main line, the bottom line. Well, look very, very closely at it. What is the same thing they're saying? They're saying the same thing over and over and over and over again, just in different ways. Remember, there's a difference between being an attorney at law and an attorney in law. I'm at the park. I'm in the I'm at the river. I'm at the river, meaning like I'm having a picnic or a party or some type of barbecue. I'm in the river, meaning I'm in the river. I'm involved in it. I'm swimming around, I'm getting wet. They misconstrue words. Now, you have to remember that under 94-381, and I believe I said 94-280, 380, these two, I'll get a post them at the bottom. So if I did misquote it, people can't be all fussy about it. But just to be safe, I'll go to my book here and I'll quote it correctly for you. Most people have to realize that if you look up cases like Johnson and Johnson, U.S. versus Johnson, 76F Supple 538, an attorney cannot represent you. Now, that's just, you have to remember, attorneys and solicitors are the same thing. Attorney, solicitor, barrister, mediator, counsel, attorney. An attorney is one who transfers goods or monies to another. For all those who didn't know what an attorney is. Remember, there's a difference between public policy and law. Those have two different meanings. Senate Bill 94-201 and 94-381. Those are the bills that allow them to construe it as much as they want with unrestricted liberty. So when people say that the United States government under 28302 subsection 15A is a government, they, under the 94-201 and the 94-381, they actually have the right to do so. Because if they are acting in their own pro se attorney, they have the right to do so. If not, if you hired an attorney, that's your mistake. That's your fault. But yeah, no, the straw man does exist. There is an account, and there is proof that the account exists. The laws are being construed because of those two codes and those attorneys construing those codes. And you have to realize that not everything everybody says is actually factual. You have to do the research, again, for yourself. If you don't do the research for yourself, or if you're given information, don't just accept it on face value. Challenge it. Look into it. Ask questions, intelligence questions, engage. These are what things we have to do. See, people on the internet only come here to talk smack. They don't want to engage. And when people try to engage them intellectually rather than try to bark back at them through the internet, which is completely stupid, you're not going to do anything. You're both on the opposite sides of the globe. For if you even, you don't even know where you guys really truly are. So, like, there's really no point in fucking arguing over people with the internet. Rather, gauge them intellectually, and you'll be more likely to silence an individual. Now, rather with intelligence rather than with an anger, because you're just going to make him more angry. He's just going to continue. It's going to spark, well, I can get to him. Remember that. The troll will get to you if you let them. So this has been a video on the straw man. A little bit on the attorneys, how attorneys are misconstruing the law. Corpus Juris Secundum, Volume 7, Section 4, 2, 3, and 4. Actually, I want to read that before closing out this video so others may see it as well, and that everybody has knowledge. Knowledge. People who call me a sovereign, you are incorrect. I don't need money because money has no value. If you actually watch the other videos that I've posted on debt, money has no value. The Treasury is bankrupt. There hasn't been a Treasury or United States Treasury since 1921. So it's actually part of the UN, United Nations. I want to read this. Trying to find this on my Corpus Juris Secundum. You have to remember that in my state, under the California Bar, if you look up the Business and Professional Code 6001, the state is a public corporation. You could also see this in California Constitution 6, Article 6, Section 9. The state bar is a public corporation. So this is a public corporation, not an institute. You could also find out that this state bar is not actually registered properly. So anybody who's in the state of California is actually allowing themselves to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Allowing the rights to be subjugated to a foreign agent, and given over to a foreign agent who actually has no legal right to do it, to do anything. They're doing only, they have no right to do what they're doing, because they have no lawful authority, because their business is not registered properly. See, everything is becoming a corporate business. If you look up the Banker's Officer Handbook of Commercial Banking Law within the United States, the 6th edition, paragraph 22.01, parentheses 1, and there are certain types of transactions. There are 12 actions that do not apply to UCC law. Security interests governed by federal statutes. 2. Landlord liens. Liens for services or materials provided. Assignments for claims or wages. Transfers by government agencies. Certain isolated sales or accounts or chattel papers, which chattel is the money or interest that you may have in this, like the shippings and goods. Interest or insurance policies, judgments, the right set-offs, real estate interest, tort claims, bank accounts, UCC 104 constructs and against implicit repeal. This code has been a general act intended as a unified coverage of the subject matter. No part of it shall be deemed or implied repealable by subsequent legislation, that's the people who do law, or constructed by reasonable or void. See, our real remedy is actually in, sorry it's taking so long, I'm still looking for this Corpus Juris Secundum. If you look, also, I ask and tell people to look at the United Nations Conference of International Organization, page 105, and also see Department of State Publication 2490, Conference Series 83, 1946. This actually states, every individual is entitled to be protected and assisted by the state to which he belongs, in a manner and form of the treaty by international law. Remember, I covered this a while back, that we're all under international law, under the 1945 UN Act. Actually, you can find it in the Sixth Amendment here too. And it says, any individual who, according to law of the state against which he institutes a claim as a citizen of the state, shall be entitled to such protections. So, every individual is entitled to be protected and assisted by the state which he belongs in a manner or form established by treaties and international law. So we're not going by like statutes or codes. We're not going by federal law. We're going by international law and treaties. No individual who, according to the law and state against which an institute no individual who, according to the law of the state against which he institutes a claim as a citizen of that state, shall be entitled to such protections. So, no individual who, according to law of the state which he institutes a claim, so you instituted a claim as a citizen of that state, shall be entitled to such protection. So you are now claiming citizenship of the state, and protections or entitled protections of the state. But remember also, that also implies that you're a corporation. Remember the California, under Dungeon Bradstreet, you can find California State 071549000. And you'll find that it is a corporation, it is registered. I believe that people, if people dig a little deeper and look to see that the public law had been modified, the law in this instant is actually per the actual state statute book is identified in chapters 48 ST 112. That's where you can actually find the statutes and identify it. It contains the same wording as HJR 192, though there is one resolution and though one is a resolution and one is public law. We should refer to the government's obligations to us as Chapter 48, Stat 112, not HJR 192. The federal government took away to pay our abilities of debt with lawful constitutional money, but that doesn't make the Congress of the federal government, that doesn't make us subject to the Congress or federal government, and thus the resolution does not apply to us. However, their obligations to us under public law does apply, and there is still insufficient lawful money in general circulation to meet the needs of the people, including me. And the people who are continuing to discredit this, I hope you take this in light, because the truth hurts. The truth will do a couple things to you. It'll piss you off and make you sad or make you cry. And you have to remember that we became the U.S. Department of Commerce, known as the Commercial Registry, whereas one of our agencies were registered. We also registered in the State Secretary of State, as well as the Department of Puerto Rico, as well as I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Department of Puerto Rico, as well as the as well as it has been. I think that's actually some of the places I can think of. I'm sorry, I just drew a blank. I'm very, very sorry. So the so-called debt that was accumulated became impossible for anyone to pay off these lawful currencies in 1929. The War Power Act that Lincoln had put in by executive order, we discussed this in the last one, about the martial law, and how it became a reinforcement act of trading this was reinforced and became the Trading with Enemies Act. This is very important to know. But in the lawyers' board, see, 1871, the United States was in default, and we were looming, and we assumed 10 miles, which was incorporated by England. This new social military construct was called the United States in Congress. Remember, Congress is a military Congress. The British Crown, because you have to remember that we're beneficiaries. The United States actually copyrighted the 28th USC 28 of the United States Code, and they actually patented United States and the United States of America, U.S., and many other titles or intellectual properties. The British Crown actually has this is the International Bar Treaty, the International Bar, which they have created a bar certificate. Most people are under the jurisdiction of the Act of 27, 1868, now Title USC 800 and 801, also known as the Expedition Act. This formed a new form of martial law. So when you go into court, remember, you're under a military tribunal. The president of the United States during the time he was actually when he was actually assassinated, he proceeded to not be able to, again, he wasn't able to actually recall martial law. That was through the executive order, so now we have the laws. Thus, the War of 1812, which partly prevented the passage and enforcement of the 13th Amendment. The books, most of your information is put on a repository. When you go into court, your information is put into a repository. Why? Because they owed and pledged debts in your name. I want to read this, but I'm having difficulty finding it. Hopefully, I'll find it here soon. I also want to state that the 14th and 15th the 14th and 15th Amendment was declared void on March 8th, 1957, Memorial to Congress, 14th and 15th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution declared to be void. Every member of Congress got a copy on November 26, 2008, CSR report for Congress. See pages 5 of which the CSR 2, top paragraph 12, which makes it clear. Executive 6 ordered the 14th Amendment to be ratified. The Executive Order 7 ordered with the 14th Amendment lawfully published. Now, in the writing of the Constitution is lawfully ratified and amended with an executive order. They can't do that. You can't amend a constitution or any type of thing without going through Congress. It cannot. It was not properly. These are not even the two actual, even real executive orders. The CSR report makes it clear in Executive Order 6, which is really Presidential Proclamation 11, and Executive Order 7, which is really Proclamation 13, never had a signature of the President, only the Secretary of State. So these two fake executive orders are booked and paged as proclamations. Andrew Jackson stating that the de facto government, which indeed this actually shows that they are de facto. Those documents will show that they are de facto, that they are not lawful. That anybody or any agency or any instrument thereof is and there will be considered de facto. They are obsolete. And I'm still looking for this. I apologize. If you look at the laws really closely, and you look at a 27 CFR 72.11, well, this is the meaning and terms of law, of some of the laws. So get this. Meanings and terms used in this part, unless context requires, terms shall have meanings ascribed in this section. Words in plural form shall include a singular and vice versa. Importing a masculine gender shall include feminine. The terms include and include do not exclude the enumerations which are generally classed. Ooh, so I don't understand that. It's a lot of legal term. But from what I can gauge, it says that the terms are how they are. So, in 27 CFR 72.11, any of the following types of crimes, federal or state, offenses against revenue, laws, burglary, counterfeit, forgery, kidnapping, robbery, illegal sales, possession of drugs, prostitution, weapons, including soliciting, procuring, pandering, white slave keeping, house of ill fame, and the like offenses, extortion, swindling, confidence games, and accepting to commit, conspiring to commit, or compounding any of the foregoing crimes or actions of the narcotics and the use of marijuana shall be treated as if a commercial crime. All crime is commercial. Remember, all crime is a commercial crime. This action and transaction initiated by the states and commercials are enlightened fact. They impose a quasi-monetary fine in violations of Article 10 and the U.S. banking. Of this so-called court instrument, remember, it goes to a third party. Under USC 3-419, this is considered a commercial instrument. Remember, these courts are considered public entities. You can find their information on the Secretary of State. You can find their information there. Yes, they are a corporation. They are a public entity. And anybody who tells you otherwise is either blind or just in denial because they can't accept the facts, or they are a spy for the government. And trying to morally make people so that they don't, trying to morally trying to deny people the truth. If you look at the case of a debt is not paid by the given note, Nolan Company versus Maryland Casualty Companies, a note is only a promise to pay, not a promise. Federal Saving States, Banks versus Grimes. So when they have a debt to society, well, what is that debt to society? Define debt to society. A debt could be anything. A debt to society could be anything. See, because there they go with that misconstruement again. I am trying to find. I might actually have it here. Give me a second. Please keep in mind, in my state, in the state of California, every public official has to be bonded. So, under the California Constitution, Article 10, Miscellaneous Subjects, Section 1, and pursuant to Government Title General 100 and Title 1, Sections 23, they have to have a public oath or bond. They have to be publicly bonded. They also have to have there's also a division here that talks about public oath of office. The public officer's employee, 1000-3559, Division 4, intact by Stats, 1943, Chapters 143, Chapters 2, Appointments, Nominations, Commissions, and Oaths, 300-1369, second chapters, engaged by enacted by Stats, 1943's, Chapters 134, Article 4, Office and Oath, 360-1369, Article 4, enacted by the Stat 1943, Chapters 143. So this all states that those are all the codes that state, well, these officers need to be bonded. Why do they need to be bonded and given lawful to be lawfully allowed to hold public office, so that if injury was to be caused and somebody was to be caused or given harm by these individuals while in their line of office, that bond or insurance policy that their agency, their government agency has, should protect us. And so I believe that from personal experience, I have found that most officers don't have a bond. I'm going to set the phone down on the floor here, but I'm still going to continue to talk. You have to remember that... hold on, I want to actually show you guys something. So all those who think, well, I'm just saying this just to say this. No, so, look. So Franklin Roosevelt, here's the document for Franklin Roosevelt. This is from the presidency, the American Presidency Project. Pretty good information here that they serve. This is the actual, document here, this way. So individuals can see that. It talks about how we went bankrupt in 1933. Remember, our discharge is actually for tendency is actually found in USC 3604. I talked about it earlier in my videos, and you can find your remedy. Now, I also wanted to show you that I was trying to find my documents on the United States here. If people actually took the time and weren't so outraged, they realized that if they really wanted to pick these officers apart, I went through my local office, because all officers are now in the state of California have to put the policies and procedures of their office on the public website, and came across